remember in this depiction of the dinar, I said that this is about the arrival of the gods because they had to leave. They were forced to do this. They were forced to leave. They had to do this. And if you're sharp, and if you're really paying attention to what I'm trying to share with you, and you'll see it. The same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men. And he was driven from men. We'll see the same consistency in Ezekiel 19, describing these young lions being put in chains and being brought to the land of Egypt. And then further, they're even brought to the king of Babylon, of who we see being depicted here as Nebuchadnezzar, who has also been bound for this 7 cyclic stage period. If you've already hopefully recognized that as how it connects to everything else that we've talked about. So, remember that I told you that there was 7 cycles of vengeful judgment that take place from Eden until our time now, and that we're about to go through that 7th final stage of judgment. Now, this is the description of basically saying, as it describes him in verse 15, being bound in the earth. Listen, nevertheless, leave the stump of his roots, the remnant of them, the remnant of his root in the earth, the descendancy, and that's going to be the living descendancy of the sons of God, even with a band of iron and brass, in the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let his portion be with the beast in the grass of the earth. So we see this being described, that there's going to be a descendancy that's going to be left with its roots still in the earth, and that they're going to be left with this band of iron and brass. Well, that's going to be the seal. That's going to be that equational seal, which you would know of as the Star of David. And the iron and the brass is going to symbolize heaven and earth. And then, of course, brass would symbolize this heaven, and then iron is going to symbolize this earth. But it's going to do it in a unique way. It's not going to do it in the way that you would normally think about it. So just hold your horses on conclusions. Of course, research, do what you want. But I'm sure the conclusion that you have is going to be somewhat different as you see the interrelation that I'll connect it to. But at this point, just know that there's a portion of them being left in the earth, and we find out that at least this Nebuchadnezzar is going to be left there for the 7 times pass over him. Does that sound familiar? Remember me telling you about this 7 cyclic judgment system that takes place from Genesis until our time? And that here it is, once again, right in front of your face, that these beings are being bound in the earth, and that there's 7 cycles of judgment that take place periodically where they're released upon the world. And then at the end of the 7th, they hope to release the souls that have been bound, that will be bound for the total of the 7 cycles. But each one of the 7 cycles, the physical beings appear in the world, and they do their dirty work, and then they have to go back under. They're forced back under, and that's because of that seal, that free will equation. So each age, they degrade our will just enough to alter the seal, and then they're able to appear on the world. And then they try to completely fool mankind and take away the truth, the validity of Jesus Christ. Well, we find out they're not successful. They think that they're going to be successful at the end of the 7th stage. Now, why would it be 7 times? I mean, you know that I've already showed it to you. It's consistent in everything. I show it to you from Genesis. I've been showing it to you in the Mayan calendar. It's going to be 7 separate world ages that they're talking about, of 5,125 year periods apiece, which basically is going to put us at about roughly 36,000 years from the Garden of Eden to this point now at the end of the age. So they're saying that they're hoping to rise all of these spirits that have been captivated in crystal, these sons of God that have lived and died, flesh lives, and then their spirits have been kept here on earth. They're saying that they're hoping that they will rise at the end of this 7 cycle of judgment, this vengeful judgment that these living descendancies are causing on the earth, to have their fathers' souls released upon it at the end of this 7th and final stage. Could you grasp that? Well, now you're going to see the fractal grow. What do you see right here? You see 7 circles. Well, I told you these represent the Pleiades. They also represent the chakras. Now they represent the 7 cyclic judgments. I'll be back.